Our best teacher is experience, afraid to actually go and grow. Now, there's a statement, go and grow. I can only do what I can do now in this moment. Hi, everyone. I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer. Today is May 1st, and so we're going to start in the month of May with the newest topic of wellness, body, mind, and soul. So let's just jump right on into that subject matter. When I'm thinking of wellness, body, mind, and soul, I think of a quote by Giovanni Battista Lamperti, who is considered the father of bel canto singing. And bel canto is an Italian phrase for beautiful singing. And so in his writings, he said, in order for a singer to sing well, their body and their mind and their soul have to be together. And in the studio, when I'm working with students, I see that that is absolutely the way that it has to work, because we cannot sing well if one of those things is out of whack. And that's something that my students really struggle with understanding, that they have to make sure that they know what's in their minds, they know what their body is doing, and they know what's going on inside of their very spirit. And those things have to be worked on all the time. As a singer, when we think about wellness in the body, we think about what we're eating, we think about the exercise that we're doing. And because it's not a normal athletic activity like football or track or tennis or gymnastics, they don't really think about the fact that they need to exercise. But the cardio system and our pulmonary system is very important to us as singers. And if you are on the stage, most of the time there's movement that's going to be involved, and you're going to have to move and sing at the exact same time. So in order to do that, your cardio system has to be really, really, really fit. So doing cardio exercise and doing physical exercise, weightlifting or whatever, it's really important to do cardio and then weightlifting, the combination, so that you can be strong and so that you can have movement. Also, you need to be stretching. You have to have flexibility also to be able to do these things. And so many times in singers, I don't see that actually going on. And I ask them, what do you do for cardio? Well, maybe once or twice a week I do this or that. And the bottom line is that you've got to make sure that you're always, always doing something. When you're a singer, that you're always doing something to keep your body in shape. When we do things as singers to keep our body in shape, it raises the endorphin level. And it's sort of like what Elle Woods says in Legally Blonde. Endorphins make people happy, and happy people don't kill people. So to quote Elle Woods, if you are a happier person also when those endorphins kick in and you're doing it, which means that your mind is going to be on better things and your soul is going to be fed by better things. And so that helps you with your overall picture of how you feel about yourself. And I think that's a really important thing. A lot of my singers have body image issues, and as most people do, but I think singers do, especially because of the fact that you're up in front of people all the time, and people say things about you when you're up there. Even though that's a shame, I mean, we shouldn't be judged on our size or the way we are on the stage by the way we look, but we should be judged by what we are as a person and who we are as a person. In fact, I think I just want to take that judgment word out. We shouldn't be judged at all, because nobody has a right to judge anybody, because we're all human beings and we've all made mistakes. So I think that that really is something that shouldn't occur, but we all know that it does. And because it does, many times that causes body image issues. But then a lot of our body image issues are inherited from the people around us, most especially what went on when we were a child or when we were home. And some of my young singers are still at home. And I want to caution our parents of our students, or parents of students, to remember that your child is hearing you. So if you have a body image issue within yourself, then you need to be aware that your child may just inherit that same thought process. So work on yourself. Make sure that you are. And it's not just about working out or, looking pretty or having the right clothes. It's really about how our mental health works and how we think about ourselves and how accepting that we are of ourselves. And that's something that the young students, especially, and then, of course, when I have my adult students, they really struggle with. Some people come into the studio for the first time as adults and they've always wanted to sing, but we have to peel away these issues that have gone on for them, this trauma that, and it's really trauma that has gone on from their childhood, their teen years, other things that people have said, if they're married, things that have gone on within marriages, all of this abuse that has happened and heaped up on us for years and called piles and piles and piles of garbage. And we have to start helping them to take that garbage out. And that's something, if you've still got kids at home, that's something that you need to make sure that you're taking your own garbage out and then helping them take their garbage out as well. And I find that to be really important to be able to do. And, a lot of times when we're working out, that how we work out has to do with that as well. So, some people have a body image issue and they go to the gym constantly. And some people have a body image issue and they won't go to the gym at all because they're worried about what everybody thinks about them at the gym. So, just start out easy sometimes, go for a walk and make your walk longer and longer and longer. That those are things that everybody can do. And then choosing that healthy lifestyle is there. I know for me, I don't necessarily struggle from a body image issue. I usually struggle more with my internal talk and my mental outlook on things. Being someone that I put out a TikTok about this not too long ago. It was just really short, but being someone that's been abused physically, mentally, and spiritually since I was a little girl. My first beating I remember taking when I was 5 years old. And I thought to myself, why is this big a deal? And, that had to do with my father's own issues with himself, because he was beaten as a child and had other issues. And so he passed that along in our family. So he was a screamer and called my mother horrible names. So those things that went on then, that started out with the trauma that I had in my life, and the trauma kept going and going and going to where I was emotionally and mentally abused all the way through high school. And so that taught me a lot about my own behavior when I look back on it. But I also know that my behavior, once I went off to school, I didn't really want to be responsible. I just wanted to be able to make my own choices and not have somebody yell and scream at me. It was very difficult for me to focus, and it had nothing to do with being ADD or ADHD or anything. It had to do with the trauma that went on. I just didn't know what outlet to really take. So I did a lot of really self-destructive things early on. I did end up telling myself after a time period, I don't want to be this way. I don't want to be this person. And then I would switch gears and start to change things, but I was still changing them on my own. So it's taken a very long time for me to walk through all of that stuff and wade through all of that stuff and realize that I did have a lot of trauma, and that trauma was affecting me. The trauma was keeping me from being my very best self. It was affecting my body, my mind, and my spirit. It kept me from believing that I really could make it as a singer. It kept me from really achieving the dreams and goals that I had as a singer. And it ended up taking me on a very different journey. Now, I'm not going to tell you that I don't think that journey has been worth it, a very different journey. For a long time, I was very disappointed in myself, and just felt like I was failing over and over again. And I was petrified of going to auditions, which was something that in my early 20s, I never had that type of fear, but it became more and more that way as other traumas came into my life. And finally, I ended up agoraphobic, and I wouldn't come out of the house for 2 years. And I just felt so much shame and disappointment, and I had to start walking that out. Now, I'm not going to say that I haven't had great successes as a singer as well, because I have. It's just that the more the trauma piled up, the more I didn't address the trauma, the more I inhibited myself and imprisoned myself. And a lot of that had to come from a place where I finally started letting go of all the trauma. And that's when I found a really great trauma therapist, and I started actually peeling off the things and learning that there was an emotional underlying part that wasn't being fed, an emotional need that I had that had been really crushed when I was a small child, that was leading to these self-destructive behaviors. And that's what can happen when you have body image issues and when you have mind issues, where your mind attacks you and you have all these negative things that go on in your mind. It's usually because you're not addressing some underlying emotional issue, because you're not really thinking about the vocabulary of those emotions. Because I said this in another podcast, that we really need to think about the vocabulary that we use for our emotions and stretch that vocabulary, because we've got to actually learn to label the things that we are actually feeling. Before I get angry, I'm actually feeling something that makes me either feel abandoned or betrayed or out of control or powerless. It's always going to be something like that. And when we're addressing those things, we've got to actually think that. So when my students come in the studio, that's one of the things that I ask them is, what are you feeling? And so many times they say, well, I don't know. I don't know. And that's sad, because that's something that when they're living still at home with parents, that parents can actually teach them. And so many people don't want to face themselves emotionally. You don't want to think about it. You want to just keep staying busy and keep staying busy. And you want to keep running away from what you're really feeling. And that's not okay. It's not okay for you to do that. It's not healthy for you to do that. It's never going to benefit you to not know what's going on within you, to not understand your thought process, to not understand the emotional underlying problems that you actually have. What has helped to set me free from so many things about that is to forgive myself for feeling the way that I have felt over the years, for the things that I allowed myself to self sabotage with, and to forgive other people. Now, I was going to tell you that doesn't mean that I sit down to dinner with them. Forgiveness doesn't mean that I'm allowing access back to my life. It just means that I have let go and they no longer owe me anything. They don't owe me anything in my life. That apology that you keep waiting on, that you're torturing yourself and you're putting thoughts, well, they need to apologize to me because da 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 da. That is not doing anything but eating at your soul. And this is where the soul part comes in, because it's just eating at the core of who you really are. And it's really just not worth hanging on to it like that for. And it is hard to forgive. I'm not going to lie. Forgiveness has been one of the hardest things that I have ever done. And I have had to let go and forgive and let go and forgive. The more I came to peace with the forgiveness I was giving myself and the kindness I was giving myself, the more I was able to forgive others, the people that had caused the trauma and the heartache in the first place. And the understanding that they're never going to get it. They're never going to really understand and take responsibility. And that's okay. That's okay, because I don't need them to do that in order to let it go. I don't need them in order to do that in order to continue to love them. I just do what I love them from the other side of the room, because I have to love them from a distance, because that's toxic behavior to me. And there is toxic, poisonous behavior that people have. And some people do not understand boundaries. And some people just think that it's okay to say the things they say, or to come into your territory and just run all over you. Some people think that that is okay behavior, and they don't understand. And it's sort of like when Jesus was hanging on the cross and he said, Father, forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. And that's the exact thing. You have to forgive them because they don't know what they're doing. But it doesn't mean that you have to give them access. And there is the crux of things. Sometimes you just have to cut off things and move on. That's very difficult, because from the time I was a small child, I was told over and over and over, well, that's family. You have to love them because they're family. You have to deal with them because they're family. And what I've come to find out is no, I don't. No, I don't. Just because we share DNA doesn't mean I have to be abused by them or stay in the same room with them. I can love them from a distance, and that is okay. And as I've done that, I have found more and more freedom. Now, what I want to tell you also is this trauma that we have and these things that we keep housed in our body and in our minds affect our health and our wellness. They actually affect it. Stress and anxiety can cause a lot of damage to you as a person. And you don't realize it can, but it can cause cancer. because stress lowers our immune system. It can cause us to overeat. Therefore, we can have diabetes and pulmonary problems. It can short out your nervous system. At one point, my anxiety and stress was so high that it shorted out my nervous system, and I now have vestibular migraines. And I have a fantastic otoneurologist, and he knows that half my inner ear, my left inner ear, doesn't work anymore because of the stress. It literally shorted out the nerves, which killed a part of my inner ear. And now I get very dizzy. And so anxiety drove that. So I get, nauseated, dizzy. I get pain sometimes. I never thought something like that would actually occur, but it has. And it's all really extreme anxiety driven. And and I don't want to be driven by anything, because that means I'm sitting in the passenger seat. I always want to drive. And even after that, I want to be able to make autonomous decisions outside of anything that happens. I want to use wisdom, and I want to make sure that I'm making decisions that are the healthiest, best things for me and my family. And that's what I want to be able to do. I don't really like the fact that I personally was overwhelmed so much that not only do the vestibular migraines cause me certain things with my health, it caused me a health issue, but it also caused me to have convulsions because of this too. That's not okay. So now I'm doing the things that I need to do in order to make sure to lower my stress level. I keep my boundaries up. I I try to talk kindly to myself. I try to make sure I do things to lift myself up. I try to say kind things to myself now. I used to not do that. I could hear the voices in my head. You're no good. Nobody loves you. You'll never reach any goal that you want. You'll always be on the outside looking in. You can't do it. You will never be as good as this person or that person. I mean, the voices went on and on and on. And now I don't say those things. I say, Crystal, you're intelligent and you're talented and you can do these things. And there's still days that I wonder if I'm doing the right thing, but I have friends that surround me that are like family, and they are encouraging to me, because my circle is very small. I keep it that way because I only allow people into my inner circle that I know will get bloody in the arena with me. I have no I have no need for anybody that won't get bloody in the arena with me. Because if you're not going to walk out life with me, if you're not going to walk beside me all the time, then you don't need to be in my inner circle. You know? and and I'm not going to trust just anybody to be there. So that's something that you need to know as you're dealing with your mind and your body and your spirit. And you need to do things that actually feed your spirit. Like last night, my husband and I made a fire pit, and made a fire. We didn't make a fire pit. We put a fire in our new fire pit, and we just sat out there and were quiet and enjoyed the evening and played with our big boy tank, and he had fun and we had fun, and we just stayed. It was sort of a quiet evening, and we stayed that way. We take a lot of walks. We walk our dogs a lot. I spend a lot of time researching because I like to do that because I want my mind and my thought processes to always grow. For me, I read the Bible, I pray, I journal my prayers, I think about the things that God has done and the blessings that I have in my life. And I try to interact with people that feed my spirit as well. And those are all things that you need to do. If feeding your spirit, or if learning another language feeds your spirit, then you need to do that. You need to start delving into that. If going mountain climbing does it, then go mountain climbing. If you like to camp, then go camping. Some of the things that really feed your spirit have to do with nature. And if you get out in nature, that is always a good thing because it helps you connect with God more. Spending some time meditating and just allowing your mind to focus on your breathing and appreciate just who you are, that's a way to do it too. And if you have something that you want to do, that you really truly want to do, and you keep thinking about it and thinking about it and thinking about it, stop thinking about it. Stop overthinking because that causes you stress too. Let it go and just do it. Start putting yourself out there. You know, you don't have to wait either to you finish college and finish a musical theater degree in order to go audition for shows. You need to be auditioning for shows all the time. There are there are organizations that like SETC that actually help you get jobs in the summer. You can go to a big audition and they put you through callbacks, and then different companies hire you to do summer programs all over the place. So, you know, there are places that you can actually go because it's ridiculous to wait to do what you want to do. You can keep learning and growing and do what you want to do at the same time. You can, you know, and that helps your mind and your body and your spirit as well to not self sabotage and not say, well, I'm not good enough yet. I'm not as good as this person or not as good as that person. Well, you're never going to be until you put yourself in the experience of actually doing it. Our best teacher is experience. So you've got to make sure that you're giving yourself the ability to have the experience that will help you grow and move forward in what you want to do. The people that I know that are the most successful people just started doing something and they continue to do it and continue to do it and continue to do it, and they got better and better and better. And it doesn't mean they didn't go to school, but they usually, you know, they got their degree, or maybe they didn't, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they just tossed themselves out there and let life be the degree for them. You know, I have my master's degree, and that helped me a whole lot. But honestly, I learned a lot more outside of college than I did in. And that's not to negate the work that my teachers did, because my professors were great and they helped me learn and grow while I was there. But then I had to start putting action behind that. And so I've learned and grown more outside of my degree, because that just meant that I was young and I didn't have enough experience. So I just kept doing it and doing and doing it. And I have too many students that are afraid to put themselves out there, afraid to actually go and grow. Now there's a statement: go and grow, because that's exactly what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to gain the experience. And, you know, you can get rid of the traumatic thoughts and the traumatic emotions and the trauma that has gone on in your life, or the garbage that is in your mind, at the exact same time you're gaining the experience. Because, you know, those voices are not going to go away. You just have to keep facing them and telling yourself the right things. Like, I know that I am loved by a creator. I know that I'm his daughter and that I'm a princess of the king, and I walk the face of this earth because I am his daughter. And he only wants good things for me. Those are things I know. I know I am loved greatly by my children. I know I have a husband that loves me. I know I had a mama that loves me. And I know that I have my cousin Susie and my cousin Karen who love me. I know I have friends who love me. And they want the best for me. And because they do, I keep walking forward. I don't walk forward because of the negative voices. I walk forward because I know that I'm loved. And when I know that I'm loved, I just, when I hear something negative, Crystal, nobody's listening to you. Nobody cares about this podcast. Nobody does. And I'm thinking, yeah, they do. I have friends and family that actually do. And I believe that the experience that I have had in dealing with trauma, dealing with life, and dealing with life and trauma as a singer, I believe that it can be helpful to other people. And because I do, I'm sitting right here talking to you right now. I'm not the only one out there that has had those things happen. I mean, Viola Davis just came out with a book called Finding Me, and I highly recommend that book because it really describes some extreme circumstances that she lived through. And I mean, my heavens, she's Viola Davis. And she has a tremendous career in movie and television and has won awards. And the life that this woman has led is just incredible what she has survived. And I know when I look at my own life, I'm grateful because I'm a survivor. I know that there are people out there that I'm talking to right now. You're a survivor. You need to celebrate the fact that you're a survivor, and because you are, you're stronger. And when you're stronger, you can do something more with yourself that will add to this world. Anything that we have survived is usable. Anything that we have learned is shareable. And we need to make sure that we're doing that so that we can encourage one another all the time. One of my favorite Bible verses says, encourage each other as long as it is today. So that pretty much means that every day we need to be encouraging one another. And I think that is the best thing that we can do right now, because there is so much going on in this world and the apathy is just overwhelming. Students come in and they're like, well, I don't know, maybe I believe I can do it, I don't know, and the energy that they don't bring. And I'm thinking, you people are young and I've got more energy than you. What is that? And that's usually some sort of emotional stuff that is sapping them of their joy and their energy. And we need to be joy bringers. We need to be light bringers into the world. Light into the world. That's another Bible verse that I love. In Matthew chapter 5, it says, you are the light of the world. Jesus actually says that. You are the light of the world. That means I am a light in a world filled with darkness. You are a light in a world filled with darkness, and it is our decision. We can stay in our heads and we can stay with the trauma, and we can keep replaying that and replaying that and replaying that over and over and over again, because here's the thing about it. In some way, playing it over and over and over again, we're attempting to change the outcome of that circumstance. We're attempting to change what actually happened. And I'm telling you, you can't. You cannot change what occurred, but you can change how you deal with it. You can change your response to it. And that's the truth. How do I know you can? Because I don't have any secret sauce. I change my circumstance. I change the way I deal with it. I change the way I think about it. When I visit it, does it still frustrate me? Yes. And I'm somebody that I am insatiably curious. So I always want to understand. I want to understand why something happened the way it did, how something happened the way it did. What the heck was anybody thinking? I want to know those things, but the fact is that I don't, and I'm not going to know that. And I have to release that, because nothing I can do or say can change anything in the past. The past is gone and it no longer exists. I can only do what I can do now. I'm going to say that again. I can only do what I can do now in this moment. That's all I can do, because I don't have any control over the past and I don't have any control over the future. I only can control what I'm doing right now in this very moment. So if you're stuck there and you're like, but it's hard to get out of that loop. It's hard to get out of that loop. That's where you need to go and do something else. You can start as simply as cleaning out your refrigerator, but start cleaning out something, because that's going to help you to move forward and realize that you don't have to keep the garbage, and you certainly don't have to keep staring at it. I've said this 1,000 times. You do not have to stay where you are. And as a singer, if you're staying where you are, you're self-sabotaging. You know, one of the amazing things that I have listened to when I've been listening to this book, the audiobook, Finding Me by Viola Davis, that I said a minute ago. I'm amazed at how far she's gone in life with all the trauma. But the fact is that she still had it, and she still was dealing with it and dealing with it. And she says that, you know, some of the things in her acting career she was doing it because she was running from the actual acceptance and letting go of the tragedy that happened in her life. And I can understand that. You know, a lot of the things people say, like, you know, people will say stuff. Why did you crack when you sang? Why were you so this when you were singing? Why did you look like this way when you were singing? Why didn't you smile? Why weren't you standing up straight? Why were you know, those things are traumatic to say to a singer, especially a young singer. Try saying something to the effect of, you were so courageous to get up there and sing. That's one more piece of experience that you just gained. If you could change something about it today, what would you like to change? Okay, well, when you're practicing, work on that. Why don't you video it and see how you can improve that? You know, sometimes your opinion is not needed. Sometimes only your encouragement does. Doesn't mean you have to have liked it, but you don't have to trash everything everybody does, because not everybody wants to hear that, especially right after they've sung. Especially right after they've sung. You know, there's enough self-doubt going on in a singer without your help. And you need to realize that, because things can be addressed, but they don't have to be addressed right then and there. Usually when my students go into dress rehearsal, I tell them, you're not going to hear anything else from me. And if you come to me after your performance and ask me what I think, I'm going to tell you, I think you did great. When the show is over, I will give you my opinion. When you come to your voice lesson, I will let you know what I'm seeing. But I'm not going to do it the day you're up on the stage. I'm just not, because you need my encouragement and my support. You don't need my criticism. You don't need that. So I think that that's something that we have to think about when we're thinking about our young people. And we don't always win. Not everybody is going to win, and not everybody is going to get a trophy. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, everything is going to sound perfect and everything is always going to be fun. But the experience is the experience in the moment that they had. And you can't change it once it's already occurred. So stomping all over it isn't going to help the situation. It especially steals the joy and steals the effort. It steals from the effort that was put into it to get up and do it in the first place. It takes a lot of courage for a singer to get up there and doing it. You're very vulnerable. It's like singing naked on the stage and then asking people for your opinion about your body. And that is something that we have to really think about, because people need to be built up. They don't need to be torn down. So these are all thoughts that I have about mindfulness and how to build people up and how to keep your mind and your body and your soul working together as a singer and just as a person. If you don't pay any attention to it, it won't get any better. So ignoring it and running from it is never going to be the thing to do. You've got to face it. If you really want things to get better, if you really want to see yourself moving forward, then take your ideas, take your effort, take the things you love, start going towards that, start doing something towards it, and then keep improving yourself. Keep facing the emotions, keep facing the voices in your head. As you go, you will get better, but you can't wait until that goes away in order to do what you want to do. There are plenty of successful singers out there that are doing the job and dealing with their inner self at the exact same time. So make sure you don't allow anything to stop you from going towards your dreams and your goals. And remember that, more importantly, it's who you are that matters. All right, that's all I have for today. I hope this has helped. Remember to like and subscribe and follow The Naked Singer. You can find me on Instagram at Naked Singer Blog. You can find me on TikTok at The Naked Singer. And as always, I wish you well. I'm Crystal McDaniel, and this is The Naked Singer.